y'all. Welcome to Unleashed with DNA. I'm Amy.
And I'm Dawn, and we're so glad you're here.
Hey, Dawn.
Hey, Amy, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited to get into our second episode of Life today.
Me too. And if I can just refrain from leaning on my desk and shaking my laptop camera, we'll be doing good because I know producer Tim requested that I get closer to the screen. I guess the last episode I was too far, so I'm really have it close, but I have to be careful not to shake it because, we're low budget, all heart on this
Low budget.
podcast.
Well, and I have a swivel chair, and I have the urge to swivel. I'm not allowed to swivel. So you have your thing, and I have my thing. So I'm trying not to swivel.
Is that
So,
what
but
producer
it's
Tim
fun.
told you?
Mm-hmm.
Not to swivel. Oh my gosh,
Not
that's
to
funny.
touch the camera or swivel. It's like, does anyone care about what we're saying? Or is it more about if I'm moving my chair? Most of these people probably are not even looking at us when they're listening to us. But for those of you, I like to swivel. Amy's table shakes. And for some strange reason, I think I can adjust the camera back and forth and it's doing nothing.
Well, I have had a couple of people ask me, how did y'all even think to do this? And how are you even doing this? Is it hard? And I'm like, yeah, it is. It kind of is. You have to work it out. You have to get comfortable with it. You have to, we've talked a little bit about that in other episodes, but getting the camera right, talking close enough to the mic, don't turn into Mr. Microphone voice, don't swivel in your chair, don't ramble. I mean, it's all the things.
Don't ramble, don't talk over each other, don't talk too long, don't interrupt. I mean, there are a lot of rules that go with all this. But you know what, Amy, feedback is a
Gift.
it
Totally.
is.
It
And we
is.
love it. So just keep it coming. We'll take it. We listen.
We listen. Okay, so speaking of time, let's kick off. Today we are on to the I in Our Life series, which we've kind of brainstormed. We want to talk about investing in your present and future. And I know that you and I referenced a book that we both read not that long ago that really spurred some brain energy, some aha, some takeaways. And that was the Die with Zero book. And there's a lot of things in there, or one important concept in the book that really opened my eyes to when you're thinking about investing in your present or future. And a lot of people associate investing, they really think about money. Or are you investing in the stock market? Are you investing in, your 401k? And are you, and it's really for the future. And he says or encourages everybody that that's just one little part of it. And of course that's important, but really when you're thinking about your life and you're thinking about the things that you need to do, whether you're investing in your present and future, there are three things to consider about that. And that is time, health, and money. And so for us to stay organized, we felt like we would talk about investing, being mindful of time when you're investing in your present and future, being mindful of health when investing in your present and future. And then lastly, obviously there's the money part. So I think that'll be good and allow us to share some things and different ideas that we have. So when we start off with investing in our present and future in terms of time, what did you take away from Bill or the book, or what ahas did you have when it comes to time?
I think what I took away from Bill, or probably not even Bill, is when you're just thinking about investing in your present and future, is just time in general. Because I think when we are thinking about investing, we're thinking about always futuristic, and when you think about life expectancy, then you think about it like if you really had a sand, like if we had an hourglass, we would just be able to watch the time go through. Would I make different decisions? And the answer is absolutely yes. And I almost wish that I had read that book and had that aha and did that prior to now. So I'm glad we're talking about it because there's so many people who probably are younger than me that probably think they have a lot of time. And I think that that is what the misconception is time goes by and you have this future life, but really each day is the day we have and that's all
Like
we
time
have.
is now
So
kind of thing.
time is now. Time
I think
is
he mentioned
everything.
something in he had like an app, or he has like a countdown app to when, like how many days he has left on earth. I'm not there yet. I can't do that. Like I think I would panic if I woke up and like you're down to 6,700 more, whatever it is. But I think it's the one tool in that he mentioned that I think is really smart. And I agree with you. I wish I would have read the book earlier so I could have get to thinking about it, was where you map out kind of all the things that you want to do in time buckets, and you put them in time buckets, and you can do them in different, you can do them in 5-year increments, 10-year increments. And I've seen, I believe he says, almost like in your life in decades. You've got your
Yes.
20s to 30, from when you're 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60, 60 to 70. And if you at least start there, you can write down all the things that you want to do. And I know that as you get older and you start to experience different things, that list increases, and it's not a bucket list. It's not to be confused with all the things that you want to do before you die. This is more about all the things that you want to do in life. And then you try to think about where is it most appropriate in to place that stuff that you want to do. And
Yes.
it'll get a little bit more easier as we move through the other two topics. But the first thing to do is to map out, to think about what you want to do, and then think about putting it in a time bucket.
Well, and the other thing I took, the buckets were so impactful for me, but the other thing I took away that I had never done, and I know you did one too, is he highly recommends a life expectancy calculator. And that is just like, I mean, that's worse than doing a will. I mean,
Yep.
and so it in the life expectancy calculator that he referred us to was pretty in depth. I mean, it was a pretty in depth calculator. And I don't know if you did yours, but Amy, I'm just here to tell you and anyone who's listening that knows me, per my calculator, I'm here till 93.
I think I think I might go a couple years before you. I'm not sure I hit 93, but it was every bit of 89, 90 something. And it again, it's the internet, but it's a tool. What I learned, it's used by insurance salespeople, like people that sell
Yes.
life insurance policies and all that. They use these life expectancy calculators to like go, okay, how much insurance do I want to give this crazy person, or whatever, because you answer the questions on family health history, do you exercise, and all the things, and you spit it in and put it all in there, and outcomes you can expect to live until, in your case, Dawn, 93. And holy
93.
moly, that seems
Listen,
old.
we'll get to it when we talk about health. I have one word for you guys: Pilates.
Pilates. You think you're still going to be doing Pilates at 93? Just curious. Are you
Yes.
still going to be showing up with your socks that have the stickies on the bottom, and you're going to with your arm weights, and you're going to be doing the leg circles at 93?
You know it. You know it.
Oh,
Bridging up,
yay.
bridging and bridging and bridging and planking.
Okay, well, you better put that in your lifetime bucket, that you're still going to be doing Pilates in your 90s, so you can make sure that all the years before, you're still preparing. But I believe you, because Pilates is awesome. I think when you know that the hourglass is such a old visual that we've always known, and kind of growing up, the days of our lives, and then the sand and the time, and the reality is you can't. There's a quote that says time is more valuable than money, because you can always get more money, but you can't get more time. And that was by Jim Rohn, and that's so true. You always have an opportunity to earn more money or figure out a way to make more money, but you never can have a go back on yesterday, or you can't go back and repeat last year. or redo your 20s to 30s, or and when you think about it
Mm-mm.
that way, it's kind of sad a little bit. Some people need to turn the page and move on to tomorrow because they're ready to get through it. But for most of us in life, I don't know about you, Don, but I cannot believe that we're already in August. It,
No,
it,
I agree.
I feel like
And
this
if you
year
think about
is zipped
investing,
by.
you can never go invest in your past. It's gone.
Yeah,
Adios. It's done. It's over. It's done. And you cannot live your life in the rearview mirror. And I agree with you. It feels like, I mean, just, I mean, people were talking about we're like 5 months from the holidays. Like, I mean, that means we're 5 months away from 2025.
right,
And we get into the resources and the, we talk about time, health, and money, you know, pre-planning is a really big, because that is one thing I feel very certain can take away from your time. If you are not preparing diligently and pre-planning, then time will just get away from you.
right.
If you don't schedule things and you don't have things on the calendar, then time just goes by because you keep thinking that you're going to plan that trip, and you got to have spontaneous things as well, but you got to put some things on the calendar and you got to plan for that, because what's going to happen is the next thing you know, it's going to be August 1st.
Right.
And you planned in your mind, you planned that you wanted to do these things this year, but then you didn't really plan them, like not plan them as far as get
Commit
the
to
trip
it.
booked.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Make the commitment. Exactly. And get the people that you wanted to maybe do it with enrolled, because I don't know about nowadays with you, when you want to plan things with everyone else, syncing calendars is really tough.
Mhm.
You might have it in your mind that this is what you want, but it might not be your busy season. But a lot of us love to have a lot of our fun and our life experiences with other people that we care about and we love. But it's not easy to get so you got to sync the calendars up sooner than later these days. I don't know if you feel that way too, or if you've noticed that with everybody's schedules.
Well, I obviously, yes, particularly now that we have grown children that have jobs, and you don't have the Christmas break anymore, exactly, or spring breaks, or those buckets of time windows that you could have pre-planned easier. Now it is a lot harder. But I think your advice, is good, that when you're investing in your present, your time, it's a lot easier to plan for how I'm going to use my time today. How am I going to use my time tomorrow? Some of it we have control of it. Some of it we don't, with work, and then what am I going to do extra? When do I want to get my downtime? But the planning and investing for, you're planning your time for the future, it takes a minute, and it takes you again to commit. It takes organization. It takes, for you to decide what do I want to do over the holidays? Where do I want to go? Where do I want to go on vacation? And the time thing with the book was a big one. And maybe it hit home harder a little bit because where I am in my life, and I feel like if you're really using the life expectancy calculator result, I've already lived more than half my life.
I'm not gonna lie, people. I feel very much young on the inside, but at the end of the day, the age on our driver's license or our passport is our age, and that is real. And once you have to start clicking the last box, that's the of like when you're doing your ages, 21 to 35, 35 to 45, 45, and then you get to like 55 and older, and it's the last box you check, the reality has set in. There is no boxes past 55 and over.
I wasn't following you at first. Are you talking like on something you're filling out, like
A
in the age
survey,
brackets?
a
It's like
health
anything.
thing. I literally don't get to check another box. I am in the same box with 85-year-olds.
Whoa.
I'm in that one box now. We are
Okay, just
all
draw
lumped
another
together.
box. Just draw another box. Don't let that ruin your mind. Draw
Actually,
another
it's not
box.
ruining my mind. It's not. But when we talk about time,
Yeah.
it immediately and I don't know if it's because I read Bill's book and like everything is like you know how like sometimes like clarity comes in your life, right? Like sometimes you get moved by something and everything seems more real. Like, but I mean, I read an article the other day of some guy who had a conversation with time and it just really threw me off because it's really just trying to put it all in perspective. But I am more sensitive, and I do think it's since I read the book.
Yeah.
I'm just more
It was an
aware
aha.
of things I wouldn't have paid attention to. I'm uber sensitive to now is what it
Yeah.
is.
Agree. And then the other thing
And
that
I
he
think it's
was
a
very
good thing that I am.
I do too. It's awareness is key. Acknowledging, but then being more purposeful about what I want to do. And I think this is a good segue into the next part, which is when it comes to your health and how you can invest in your health today in the present and also in preparing yourself for the future, and how that very much aligns with time and your time buckets and your plan. How does your health how is your health going to align with the things that you want to do? I think one of the examples he shared in the book was, if you love to go to the theater, go to the opera, Broadway, put those experiences in an earlier time bucket window than say in your 70s, when people's hearing naturally gets worse as they get older, and you kind of get hard of hearing, and particularly in crowded areas. And so don't wait to save up all your your life experience that you're going to plan to go to the opera when you're 70 and you can't hear, because that's not a good time. And
Or
I laugh when I heard it, but it's true.
or,
Then you're
or,
like,
or
huh, what are they singing? It's true.
okay, even more than that, they may not offer a matinee people at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The concert may not begin until 7:30, which means it's not going to get over till 10:30, which means you're not going to get home till 11 if you live 30 minutes within the venue, which means you're probably not going to get in bed till 11:30. And I don't know about you, but bedtime becomes a real thing when you get to a certain age of your life. Like I plan my life around what time does it start and what time does it end? Because
Right.
what time am I going to go to bed?
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, wow. It doesn't start till 9? Can't go. I'm already winding down and pretty much asleep at 9. No, that sounds boring, but it's
Because
true.
uh,
It's true.
because I know Pilates is a thing, but I want to let you know my wake up clock in the morning does not adjust for what time I go to bed. It's the same time every morning that I wake up, so I have to back into it. And part of investing in your present health is getting a good night's rest, and so I have to like really be seriously sensitive to that, or I'm gonna suffer for a couple days.
Well, and I think too, I mean, we've all read and hear, and you need to eat healthy, and I understand all that, but again, after reading this book, and it really puts a flashlight on how important it is that you can't just assume that just later on in life you're going to have extra time and you're going to have extra money, that you're going to have the health that you need to do all the things that you want to do. And if you want to live an active life well into your 60s and 70s or whatever, you better be moving your body, and you better be working your muscle strength, and you better be, because you're going to need all that. And you cannot have you cannot do activities without strength and health and all the things that go with it. So again, being mindful and investing in when you plan in what time in your life you want to do these activities matters, as that it's in alignment with your health. So in other words, if you're a family and you want to take your kids skiing is a thing that you want to do, like be sure to kind of do that on the earlier side of your time buckets, because if your knees start to make weird noises, and I'll never forget one time I went to a doctor. He's like, in your 40s you're going to take 2 Advil a day, in your 50s you're going to take 3 Advil a day, and in your 60s you're going to take 4 Advil a day. And it like all of a sudden things just start hurting. It's weird. Like I'm like, why this elbow hurts now. That's weird. I didn't do anything, but it just, things start hurting, as you get older. But the do you notice that, or do you agree, or do you feel like
Oh,
since you go to Pilates 700 times a week,
no,
you're good?
No, I feel it wholeheartedly, and I gotta tell you that even the smallest injury you do get, I mean, when you were in your 20s, you could just bounce right back and think, "Oh, I've sprained my wrist or I twisted my ankle." I don't know about you, but I think it's a permanent sprain. Like, I'm like, is it
Mhm.
ever gonna go away? It's like
Yes.
literally our bones will change. I mean, so even the risk of injury, even when you think about skiing or doing things and you think about the risk of injuring yourself, even if you are healthy, you have to be very careful about what risks that you take with your health with certain activities, because if you do get an injury and you're 25, chances are you're going to recover, you'll be back in the saddle before you know it. If you're double that age and you happen to injure yourself during one of these more really active, fun experiences that you create with your family or your spouse or your friends, you might pay for a really long time after.
I I've been there, done it, got the t-shirt. But I do believe that investing in your present health and investing in your health for your future is so important. And this doesn't mean that we all have to become gym rats tomorrow and go out and run a bunch of marathons or do things that we're not. I mean, I read a quote from, I call him Dr. D because I don't know how to say his last name on Instagram, James
It's
D.
long.
Nicolatino. But this is it. I love this one that he posts on Instagram, and I see it every now and then. It says, every 1,000 steps you walk above 4,000 per day reduces the risk of dying early by 15%. So walking between 6 and 13,000 steps per day cuts the risk of dying early in half. Walking can literally save your life. And then he ends with, get to stepping. Walking
So
in the
you know
old
what?
days, when
Stop
I was
tech.
like in my 20s, if I wasn't like bouncing up and down on a step that was stacked up six high and like just drenching with sweat and I could barely breathe, then that wasn't considered a workout. Like walking is lame, right? I never thought that I would be at a place in my life where walking is such a critical part of your health and not that hard to do, right? Just to try to get 6 to 13,000 steps can cut the risk of dying early in health. So I've just started to say, you know what? As much as I hate to wear things, tracking my steps every day. I know I'm walking them. I know you have your Apple Watch. I forgot to plug mine in like 3 weeks ago, and I don't even know where it is. But that, Dawn, do you look at your steps every day? Do
Oh,
you have a step
absolutely.
goal? Do you have a step goal, or do you just sort of check
You
in on
know,
your?
it varies. It varies because of my job. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm remote, and so I have to be where I and that's another thing you need to consider. You know, what you do for work, or if you're involved in activities with kids or whatever you're doing. But you do need to keep an eye on it, because it's easy to stay mentally busy but not physically busy throughout the day. And you know, it if I look at it and I'm sedentary, it'll make me get up and I'll go to the furthest bathroom in the house, I'll go check the mail, I'll go get things, and even if it's chores that I need to do, I'll get up and go walk around and get them done, just because I can see it. And I don't know about how people feel, but once you start paying attention to it, it really doesn't become such a big deal. You just kind of are very aware of it. You'll have good days, you'll have bad days, but at the end of the week, I like to make sure that I have a certain amount.
I've the dogs need it, and I know if I start the day off early and take the dogs on like on a 2-mile walk, I'm already almost 4,000 steps in,
Yep.
and that I'm more likely to get closer to 10,000 or in that frame if I do that. And on the days that it's raining or whatever, I find it harder to do. But it's I don't want it to consume my life by any means. Like if like I'm upset if I don't, but at the same time, just that simple post was like, wow, if I can just do that. And I know that I share all the time, move your body, it'll improve your mind in some way. That the natural endorphins, the way that life works, it's a release of something. So even if I'm out in the garden, walking back and forth, doing different things, it all counts. So it doesn't
Oh,
mean you have
yeah.
to go walk 5 miles. That in all of it counts, whether, like you said, walking around your house, doing chores, going to bed. But it's health. It's an investment, using your time the best way you can through a day to invest in your present health that is going to prepare you for all the life things that you want to continue to do in your time buckets, physically, to keep you moving. So,
And find something that you love, because we make fun of Pilates, but I actually love Pilates and I love to dance. So this girl could be in her bathroom learning a line dance by myself, like just line dancing by myself. And it's because I like the music, I like it, and I'm getting my steps in. So I think the real important thing is you said something, and I don't want to is fine. I mean, exercise gives you endorphins, but if you're doing something that you really enjoy and you just don't dread it, then it's a little bit easier to do it on a consistent basis.
true.
Because as it is, we're already trying to find time because we're busy and we have all these other things. And so it is something that's good for our health, and it's not something you have to do. It's something that you should do. And so if it's not something that you enjoy, it's going to be harder to give it up. So
Yeah.
you got to look forward to it. Somehow you got to get something out of it. And I know for you, it's, you're doing it for the dogs, and that's you making sure that they're getting their exercise too. And it's serving you. But I think you just got to and if you really do not like the exercise that you've been doing, find something else.
Right. I kind of what you said earlier about planning for the future when you have, the same thing goes for when you're planning for your health. The more that I just say, oh, I'm going to work out 4 times this week, but I don't think about what days that's going to be, look at my calendar, see, is it going to be better for me to do it in the morning or night? Or what do I want to do? Then I sort of end up and I'm like, oh, dang, we're already at Thursday. So that means I got to do it today, tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday, or I'm not going to hit the 4. So, and I know you're very good about the scheduling of your classes, and you know which ones you like, and you're very committed to staying on that schedule. And I think that helps. And then what I found too, because I can fall off the wagon, but then when I get on a routine and I start to see the progress, it's easy. It's more addicting to keep doing it. It's
Oh
hard
yeah.
to get on. It's hard to get back in that rhythm. It's hard to get back in that pattern. But when you do, and you start to feel stronger and healthier, then you automatically are more motivated to do it and to keep doing it. So I'm currently off the
Yeah.
wagon. July was a doozy, and we're not going to rehash it because I've already promised everybody
No.
2 episodes ago I'm done. I'm over it and I'm moving on. But August, I'm going to get back to me. I'm going to get back to like some sort of rhythm and schedule with my time and my health, and let all that other, stuff that distracted me go, and get back to me, because I think that's part of it too. And I miss it. And I can feel it. I can feel it.
Yeah, I know how you feel. Well, before we move on to the next one, which is money, and I will tell you, one of the things that I took away from Bill Perkins in our book is, it doesn't matter if you have all the wealth if you don't have the health. So I know we spent a lot of time on health, but I would say that is probably, one of the things that you could be very intentional about, so that you can really kind of do the things that you want to do in life. But now on to the wealth. And obviously we spent more time on time and health, because when you think about investing in your present and in your future, time and health are really, really important. And there's a lot of resources out there about money and investing in money. But I think, Amy, if we have like the last 5 or 6 minutes that we have with everybody, I think this is where we could probably really kind of share a lot of what we learned from Mr. Perkins in his book. And because I think the stereotypical thought about investing investing, as far as money goes, it's always for the future. And I think we really all get about investing in the future. But how does money kind of relate to, how do you invest in yourself in the present with money?
Yes.
And I think that's where, right, go ahead.
His advice was more about, be careful. I mean, obviously everybody needs to put the nest, be thinking about their nest egg for the future. And there will come a time where you're not going to work anymore, and you're going to need to have that bucket of money that's going to sustain your lifestyle, or whatever your goals are in your time buckets and how you want to do that. That's important. And he doesn't want to take away from that, but at the same time, he's like, be aware that don't skip over spending money that you really have today, in your particularly in your younger years, where you have more earning time ahead of you. You have lots more time to earn more money. So don't skip over something that you really should be doing at this time in your life, because you're saying, I'm going to forego that life moment because I'm too worried that when I'm 75, I'm not going to have enough money. And when, again, through the book, he gives you different tools of how you can decide what enough money is for you. Because if you don't have awareness of what that amount is, or what that budget's going to be in the future, you could completely oversave and miss
Oh,
out
yeah.
on opportunities that you could have taken younger in life to help with when you had the health, when you had the time, but you didn't want to spend the money because you were too scared that later on you weren't going to have any money. And then you get to that 75 window, and you've got all the money and you've got the time, but you don't have the health anymore. So it's like it's like taking all three together. And that's harder to do than to say, hey, everybody, make it your goal to put 10% away in your 401k every month. Max out your 401k and never look back. Like that's an easy thing to do. Like, max out your 401k, make sure you're getting your company match. That's just the easy life advice, right? And other things. But how do you think about when is enough enough? Or be sure that you're saving for your present, that you're using your earnings and the money that you have to feed your present as well. That's super hard to do if you're not mindful of it.
Oh, and you think about it, it's like it's got to be this balancing act, right? Because it's like we talk a lot about like all the things that you need to do, but if I could go back, I'm not kidding. If I had a rewind button, I would rewind about 10 years, and I probably would make a lot of different decisions if I would have read that book 10 years ago. And of course, everybody's experience is going to be different, but I think what it took away is you don't really know what the future holds. Yes, you need to be prepared. Yes, you need to have money. You do know that especially if you took your life expectancy test, I am not going to work till I'm 93 years old. And so anybody who's working for the same company that we are, sorry to tell you, I'm not going to be working until I'm 93 years old. And so, I mean, the thing about it is that you do need to have money. I mean, like, you do need to have money for that time in your life. But I think what I took away is this mindset of inheritance. Like we all are trying to think about, we need to leave money behind. Like, we're going to leave money to this charity. We're going to leave money to these children and our grandchildren. And it's this thought process of not just living until we die on the money that we need. It's about, you talk to a lot of people as they get older, and they're thinking about their family and leaving them money. And I think what I realized is they don't really, if I live as long as I'm supposed to live, there is no one in my family that's going to be looking for a pot of gold at the end of that time or any kind of money. They would much rather have a fulfilling life with me when I was healthy and I was able and I was doing it. And I shouldn't feel guilty or worried about the future so much that I'm sacrificing the present.
Sacrificing the time you have with your kids now because you're too busy trying to put it away so that you can give them the big fat check when you go to the pearly gates. Loved that so much, Don. And he said, if you want to give an inheritance to your children, figure out what that means for you. Figure out what that value is. Okay? So let's just say, for example, my goal or our goal is to leave each of our kids 10 grand, or whatever. He says, give it when you can, and the sooner the better when they need it in their life. Because when they're young, they're struggling, or maybe they've got starting a new family, or they need to buy their first home, or they're paying off, whatever it is. Whenever you can get there, go ahead and give it to them. Same for a charity. If your goal is to give to the American Cancer Society when you die, give it to them now. They need it now. I mean, they don't need it 60 years from now or 40. If you're living in 93, Don, I'm going to do the math. They don't need it. They need it like now. And what he says is try to give it to them when they need it, because it helps them as well. Not spoil them to death, ruin, keep them from being productive in life. You know what I'm talking about. And then he says, then you can release yourself. You've done it. You've given it to them. Now you don't have to feel guilty anymore if you want to go take that amazing whatever or spend money on yourself because you're fearing that you don't have enough saved for you've already given it to them. You've given them their deal. You've helped them through their milestones when they really needed it. Now you can just go be you and invest in your continued present and your continued future on your own, releasing yourself of all the pressure. So I know we're not hitting it exactly, the concepts. We're sharing enough that if people want to go read the book, you should, because Don and I are giving you the Amy and Don perception of the book.
You might have a completely different takeaway, but it's not. Like our last episode was live to give. It's not die to give. Right. It's live to give. And so I think, right now we're talking about money, and we were very clear last week that giving is not about money. There's so many ways to give. But if you are fortunate enough that you have money to give, I think what we both took away from it is let's not overestimate how much we're going to need for a rainy day when we're not working anymore. I mean, let's go ahead and allow for, because it's really not a risk. The bigger risk is you're going to save too much and you're not going to be able to use it,
miss out,
or give it, or even be able to share it when you were around to truly enjoy all the fruits of the labor that you put into getting that money.
Yep. Amen. I love that book so much. It has helped me mentally get through when you put it in perspective and it's going to be okay. And you know what I mean? And I don't know. It really is planning. It really is. It's really knowing your plan, knowing where you want to be, having your time buckets lined out, make sure that your health and money are aligned accordingly with when you want to do those things and accomplish those things. And you're more fulfilled. You get more out of life, you get more out of your time, and you get more out of your money. And that's what makes life fun. So that's all I had to say on the subject. Do you have anything else you want to say before we wrap up this invest in your present and future?
No, I was just going to say, guys, be intentional. Time's running out. Time is life. Time is experiences. Time is every single moment you waste. So, take a few minutes, be thoughtful, make a plan. Every person's plan is completely different, but just start doing it. Like I said last time, just start doing it.
Get to stepping. All right. Well, I think
we got next week, Amy. What we got?
Oh, next week is, thank you for reminding me, is the F in life, which is don't fear failure. So yeah, we need to do some good brainstorming over the next few days on what all we want to share there, because that's a good one. That's a good one.
Well, I'm not going to fear failure of that episode.
Okay, good. That's good. How do you think we did today on swiveling the chair and shaking the table? You think we did? You think producer Tim will be proud?
I think we did great. I think Tim's going to be proud.
Okay. Laptop high five.
Laptop high five. Talk soon, everyone.
Talk soon. Bye, Don.
Bye, Amy.
Well, that's a wrap for this episode. Thanks for tuning in.
We know your time is so valuable. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel for easy access to all of our episodes.
Talk soon.